Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Art of MMA. I'm your host. Of course, joining me as always, I'm talking about the mechanic, Brandon Gattino. Brandon, how are you on this Victory Wednesday?
Doing well, baby. Always good to talk fights with you.
Especially when the Giants win on a Sunday, just to piss people off at home.
And the Cowboys lost, yep.
And the Cowboys lost. There you go. This episode, we're going to be talking about UFC 268, break that down, everything that happened, the action, the knockouts, the drama. With some of the main event and co-main event. We're going to go into Bellator 270. We got a new champion. We'll talk about that. And then we're going to make our picks. Cyborg is in action for Bellator this week, as well as Holloway Rodriguez finally happening at UFC Vegas 42. So we'll talk about all that. Of course, this show is brought to you by Fighters First, Fighters First Network, FightersFirst.shop. Go ahead and get the latest merch. The Mechanic's back in action on December 11th. Go ahead and get your Mechanic merchandise before the fight. All the shirts tend to be delivered in about 10 days, so you got time now. Go ahead and get them. They'll be delivered to you. You can wear them to the fight in Allentown. And if UWA Elite ever gives me a call, November 20th might be explosive. I'm just saying. Brandon's got my number. Don't hide. He can give it to you. Anyway, that's all the fun stuff. Brandon, you ready to talk about some action?
You know it, man.
All right, let's jump right into the show today. UFC 268 headlined the main event the weekend. Usman versus Covington 2. It had the explosiveness that we were looking for. I personally didn't think the fight was as close as some of the people at home thought. I rewatched it. I had it 49-46 for Usman. I know Covington had a lot of flashy moments, especially from the third to fifth round. But if you looked at it as a whole, I just thought Usman was doing the work the whole round, and then all of a sudden Covington would have a flurry. And then, 30, 45 seconds later, Covington would have another flurry, another comeback. But I thought Usman was peppering him with jabs. I thought Usman was, even when Usman stuffed his takedown, he was hitting him like relentlessly for 15, 20 seconds on the ground before Covington got back up. Brandon, what did you think of the epic fight? And give the people your analysis on it.
Yeah, man. It was a good fight. I enjoyed it. Like I said, to me, if the fight was out of range, Usman had the distance, using his jab and plus to his wrestling takedown, he's able to stop Covington. But like you said, where Covington had his success was really when he would be in close with Usman, because really at Usman, Covington, he has that high output as well. So usually, right, he really was throwing more. He has combinations really better than Usman. Like Usman kind of still has that strong jab, but I want to say that Covington, he kind of flowed a little more with his combos. Also, too, he had those leg kicks, he had those body kicks. Here once in a while, he maybe tried to throw a head kick at Usman, but he didn't really throw that often. But it was still there, to kind of still have Usman think about it. But all in all, like I agree with you. Like I said, it was Usman's fight. If Covington kind of did want to give a little tit for tat about like, oh, maybe it should have been his way. I could see it because, like I said, there were moments where it was a little close, where maybe like Usman kind of like did enough to kind of just get his, to just get his hand raised.
How'd you score it?
I think I maybe did have it. Man, I'm trying to really think now, man, because I'm like, oh, Saturday seems so long ago, and plus it was a wild night.
I think it's pretty clear that rounds 1 and 2 were Usman.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely 1 and 2 was Usman. I think I maybe gave Covington maybe 3, and I think 4 was maybe a little different. But I know 5th Usman definitely took the 5th round for sure.
Yeah, 4th round is the one round that I think most people universally gave to Kobe, and I think that's mainly. I don't even think it's because he actually really necessarily won the round. I think he just did more that round than he did any other round, so people gave it to him.
Yeah.
The 3rd round, he started picking up his production, but even then, once again, Usman repetitively just kept like coming at him, and then Kobe would flurry a little bit. The 5th round, I think it was back and forth until I think even up until the eye poke at the very end. I think I was kind of like, maybe I could give this round to Kobe if I'm really trying to be friendly. But then Usman hit him with a head kick with like seconds to go. And I'm like, well, nope, never mind. That's Usman's round. So I have a hard time considering it as close as some people did. I appreciate that Covington dropped his persona for 5 seconds to sit there and say how tough Usman is, and to they kind of do what fighters do after they've shared the octagon or a ring for that long of time. So that's nice to see the respect. I will say this, and this goes for the entire card. It is an absolute embarrassment for UFC to have one of their biggest cards of the year on one of the biggest stages of the year and have a mat that was that slippery on the Monster logo all night long. It wasn't just Usman and Covington slipping on that logo every 5 seconds. It was Rose and Queally. It was a number of fighters throughout the night that on that Monster logo, especially when sweat started flying, everybody was sliding all over the place in the middle of that cage. And I think that's kind of embarrassing that in 2021 that's still happening. It makes me wonder if maybe they rushed to put the mat together or what's the case. But to have a slippery mat on a main event that epic, I think was embarrassing for the UFC. And I'm surprised no fighter, I didn't hear one single fighter come out and complain about it. You heard it from the announcers, but you never heard it from the fighters because they just no excuses type situation. But I sat there and saw Covington and Usman, especially more than even any of the other fighters, literally were on ice skates at one point trying to hit each other. And it was just embarrassing. Just embarrassing.
Man, that just goes to tell you, man, they need to dump Monster Energy. They need to switch to that Bang Energy, just like Colby Covington uses Bang Energy, baby. That's the energy.
I do not support and endorse that promotion by Brandon Coutinho. I love Monster. You can support the show anytime you want, Monster.
Yo, Bang Energy, baby. Come hang out with us, man. It's a good time. It'll be a banging time,
I drink Monster almost daily. I drink the white can, the Zero Monster almost daily. So Brandon can kick rocks. I'll have a new co-host next week who doesn't drink Bang Energy, which by the way is absolutely nasty. I don't know how you do that. But that's a whole nother topic. Sorry, people, we got a little distracted. That's the main event. What's next for Usman? Like, who's next?
Man, to me, if Leon Edwards wins, it should be Leon Edwards. Like, that's who it should be, regardless.
The winner, if Edwards beats Masvidal?
Yeah, if Edwards beats Masvidal, it should be Edwards. If Masvidal wins, then it shouldn't be Masvidal. He's not.
He's already twice.
Exactly. So I mean, other than that, say if Edwards doesn't win, man, I really kind of don't know who else is waiting. Who else is there?
What happens if say Gilbert Burns goes out in his next fight and is super impressive? Because he was impressive in the return from Usman's fight. What if he goes out and is impressive again? Because Usman's been running these sequels. Do you think Gilbert Burns would get another shot?
I think maybe it depends on who it is. Like if it's maybe somebody still in like the top 5. Because I mean, like Edward Burns had beat Thompson. So I mean, that's somebody in the top 5.
And impressively.
So, yeah, exactly. So, but I mean, if you fight somebody who's like in the top 15, I don't think that's happening.
I mean, Burns has been trying to fight anybody and everybody. I just have a hard time. I mean, we know Edwards should be next.
Yep.
Another name I could throw out there is Vicente Luque. If some reason Edwards gets hurt or whatever the case is against Masvidal, Luque is a guy who's been kind of lurking there. But I don't see anybody else that deserves a title shot. Thompson doesn't deserve it after that Burns performance.
Yeah, he took it out.
Chiesa has been up and down.
Yeah, he has a fight. He's fighting Sean Brady soon anyway. So
yeah, Magny's angling for Chimaev.
Chimaev.
Yeah, and at that point, we're talking about the lower end of the top 10. So I think it's Edwards or nobody. And at that point, Usman, who fought a lot this year, is already talking about maybe spending more time with his daughter this next few months.
Yep.
We might not see Usman as much in 2022 as we did, unless maybe he wants to move up and have a super fight, but him and Izzy are friends, so I don't think that's going to happen either. So,
yeah.
As far as the other end of the spectrum, I think Covington has to go back to the drawing board. He may be the next best welterweight, but he has 2 losses on his resume to the champ as well. No matter how close the fight might have been, once again, he lost to him. So Covington's now moving down the food chain. I could see him matching up with a Gilbert Burns if he stops ducking Burns, because Burns has been calling him out relentlessly. or maybe a Vicente Luque as well. So it'll be interesting to see what both these guys. Over in the co-main event, we had a lot of action as well. Zhang Weili versus Rose Namajunas. I'm gonna shock a lot of people with my prediction or my commentary on this fight. But Brandon, you go ahead and tell me your thoughts on the fight and how you thought it went down.
Man, it was a good fight. I did have Rose winning. I think I had her winning 3 rounds to 2. I definitely gave her the 5th round, and I think I gave her the 2nd. And
I think the 4th and 5th were obviously Rose.
Yeah. Because I know the first was Weili. But yeah, because I definitely had I had it 2 and 2 going into the 5th. But Rose was trying to use her range, use her jab. Weili, hanging out with Henry Cejudo. She was trying to add some wrestling into it. She would get the takedowns. She would get on top. But then also too, though, Rose, she would get her takedown as well, and she would have her control, because I think it was in the 4th round where she did get her takedown, and I think she had control for like 4 minutes of the round. But I mean, I know a lot of people do have it where maybe like Zhang did win, so man, like I said, a couple of those rounds they were a little toss up, but like I said, I thought Rose had did enough to edge him out. But I mean, if people had it for Weili, I wouldn't have been mad about it.
So here's my thoughts on this, and I don't think any secret that people at home know how big of a fan I am of Rose Namajunas. Like, I'm like Thug Rose. Like, everybody knows I love Rose. She lost this fight, and the reason why is rounds 1 through 3 I had for Weili. Weili was using her takedowns. She was doing enough striking. Rounds 1 and 3, I don't think are a question in my mind that Weili. A lot of people gave Rose round 2. I didn't really see it that way because it was a close round, but Weili even finished the last 30 seconds on top with a takedown. She was mixing in her takedowns. She's always had kind of that wrestling, but she's always, before this fight, she had always been willing to go into a firefight with somebody. You remember the wars she had with Joanna? She always kind of was like, oh, you want to exchange? Okay, we'll do this on our feet. She's kind of always had that wrestling, which kind of early on kind of promoted her up to where she got, because she could get on top of somebody and ground and pound them out. And she used it early in round 1. She kept Rose off her feet. She did it again in round 2. And then Rose kind of got a little flurry here and there, almost like what we were just talking about with Covington Usman. But if you look at the whole round, in my mind, it's not even a question that the Weili won rounds 1 through 3. And then midway through the 4th round, Rose reversed the takedown, and she was on top the rest of the round. And then the 5th round, she realized it worked, went back to it, and dominated, being on top again. I thought Rose won the last 2 rounds. Neither one was a 10-8 type round. So in my mind, and by the way, real quick on the Usman thing, I don't think round 2 was a 10-8 either, because even though there were two takedowns or 2 knockdowns, they were at the very end of the round. So I can't give it for just like 30 seconds of flurry, or not even 30 seconds. But back to this one, I love Rose. And I think the last couple rounds, she showed what a champion's made of, and she definitely won the last 2 rounds. But I think Weili won this fight overall. And it's sad because now she has 2 losses to the champ, and she's all the way in the back of the line. Because I think she got robbed in this one, even if nobody will say it, as far as Dana and everybody else goes. We know Rose is their cash cow. We know Rose is the face of that division. And it's easier for them to market an American fighter than it is a Chinese fighter. But for Weili's part, she showed up a lot better obviously than the last time. She showed why she deserved the rematch. But unfortunately, she's on the losing end officially. And that is what it is. As far as what's next, Dana didn't seem overly enthusiastic about Carla Esparza. If it's not Carla, then who, Brandon?
If it's not Carla, then I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they run it back with Zhang. Like you said,
Dana already said no to that.
Yeah, he says it now, but I mean, dude, he's always the guy that always says like, oh yeah, I don't want to make any decisions on fight night. Let me go back to the offices on Monday, and then we'll go over things. So I'm not gonna believe anything he says right now. Like you said, a lot of people did have Zhang winning that fight. A lot of people did have her winning the first 3 rounds. So I mean, that's something that she could use to maybe try to, bring it up. But in my mind, it should be Carla Esparza. It should be the Cookie Monster. Everybody knows it. Thug Rose knows it too. She wants that fight as well. If the champion wants it, to me, the champion should get it. So to me, Carla Esparza should be the next person.
I don't think it's a question that Carla should be the next person. Some people, including yourself, thought that Carla should have been this fight. I thought Queally did deserve the rematch because it was such a flash knockout that anything can happen in a fight, and she was a good champion as far as, like, especially that war she had with Joanna. So I thought she did deserve the rematch. She got it. She showed up, showed out. As far as she goes, if she doesn't get the champion again, I can see her matching up with Rodriguez. Even Jan a little, like, right there at 4. I think both would be good matchups. I think her and Rodriguez would be a great matchup.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I could see Joanna and Zhang doing it again.
Yeah, if Joanna wants to come back, she said she's coming back. But she also told Dana she only wants to fight for titles, and Dana's like, it doesn't work that way. So she's comfortable enjoying her life right now. She's like vacationing all around the world. She's in great shape because she has been training like crazy. But you can look at, like, her social media and everything else. Joanna's enjoying life. Like, she went from Joanna champion to Joanna is on vacation. Yeah, she's having a good time. So, she'll come back when she wants to. She's earned it. She deserved it. She had a great run as champion herself. So we'll see. Elsewhere on that card, of course, my pick, Frankie Edgar, didn't go so well. I do wish I had known he had hip replacement surgery back in April that we found out later. I don't think it affected this fight. I think Frankie's been kind of to the point where he's kind of led with his chin a little bit sometimes. It got him in trouble later in this fight. Earlier in the fight, he was using his wrestling. He was using different techniques to kind of keep Vera off guard. They had a couple fun exchanges between the rounds, even with Vera, like, flicking him off. But the same thing, like, Vera went for the flying knee a couple times and just missed because Frankie got out of the way this time. But it's kind of that Corey Sandhagen thing. You go for the knockout shot now against Frankie Edgar. You might not hit it early, but eventually you will. And that's unfortunately what happened. Vera with just a beautiful front kick right up the alley. And Edgar might complain that he wasn't out, but he definitely went limp for a second. And I think the referee did the right thing. You think it was a good stoppage?
Oh yeah, because even after, when he was up and he was walking around, you can see he was wobbling.
Oh yeah, he was.
I think one of the officials kind of was holding him up afterwards anyway. So I mean, it was a good stoppage. Hey, Frankie was looking good. He did get a couple of takedowns. But the thing is, man, like saying, usually with Frankie Edgar, if he's able to take you down, which he got to take down in each round, that's usually an automatic W for him. But not this time, man. He had his takedowns, his wrestling was working, and he still caught an L. It just wasn't his night, man. Like saying, man, he looked like saying, man, he's like saying he used to be a cardio machine. Now, yes, his cardio is still going, but it does look like he is kind of getting tired a little bit quicker than he used to. He's usually
he's 40 years old, so
Yeah, he's 40, but what I'm saying, it just wasn't his night. Shout outs, to Chito Vera. He got the W, and we shall see what's next for both guys.
Yeah, I think it's more credit to the fighters that he fought, right? Corey Sandhagen was obviously on his way to title contention. Vera's been on his way up, especially since that O'Malley fight. He had one hiccup, but other than that, he's bounced back now with 2 straight wins. Vera's been constantly climbing up the charts. So I think it's more of a thing about his opponents than Frankie Edgar himself. We do know smaller fighters tend not to fight as long as Frankie Edgar's fought, but he does look like he's in great shape. He does look like he's still performing. Unfortunately, I just don't think he can take the shots that he used to take. He might have just marched right through that a couple years ago. So, but shout out to Frankie Edgar, absolute legend in this sport. We love watching him fight. If he decides this is it, if he decides he wants to keep fighting, that's on him, obviously. In your fight, your boy Shane Burgos was in trouble early. And you can break it down for me, but in my opinion, I think Billy Q clearly won round 1. I think he was winning round 2 up until it was back and forth in round 2, but the last 30 seconds, Shane just opened up on on Billy Q and did some major damage to take that round. And then round 3, I thought was all Shane. What did you think of that fight?
Hey man, Billy Q, I know for this fight was hanging out with Antonio Tarver. You know, for those that know who he is, you know, a
boxing Hall of Famer.
Yeah, boxing Hall of Famer. You know, who was in the Rocky Balboa movie. He beat my boy Roy Jones Jr. But that
still hurts.
Yeah, it does always. But I said, but yeah, Billy Q knew that he was going to go with a good boxer in Shane Burgos, so that's why he got with Antonio Tarver, and it looked like it was working out for him really good in the first round, you know. But I mean, but say it was still a back and forth match, you know, especially in that first round. But saying Billy Q was looking good. Then saying the second round, I think Shane caught him, hurt him, and then I think once Shane smelled the blood, he just went for it. And in the third round, man, I don't know if just maybe like Shane, like we talk about with Frankie Yair, you know, about having, you know, good cardiovascular, you know, being, you know, having good energy, you know, not getting tired. That's how Shane is. And it just like in the third round, man, Billy Q was just tired. You know, I don't know if he was just tired, you know, from the shots he was taking, because both those guys did set the record for the most significant strikes in the fight as well. So I mean,
the crazy thing is he was tired, but he kept throwing.
Yeah. But you know, but I'm saying, but they were throwing a lot. But I'm saying, but he looked tired. He looked like he was done. You know, and like I said, in the third round, just Shane, like you said, Shane had just poured it on.
I don't know if he was done or he was just like, I thought at the end of that second round, Shane had him, like if that round was 30 seconds longer, Shane would have finished him in the second, because that rally at the end of the second round where Shane caught him and poured it on, I think almost finished the fight. And I think that was still on Billy's, like, he wasn't right coming out to start that third round. He just never really got going. I do think, and I've said this before, and you've said that's not real, I think Shane Burgos has to work on his defense. The man has some of the best offense in the business, but he takes so much damage every single fight. He's in these wars for no reason. And I know he has good boxing as far as like slipping and doing this and that, but every time he tries to get in, he just takes so much damage, whether it's Billy Q, whether it's Edson Barboza. And I know he's fighting these killers as well. You know, don't sleep on the fact that Billy Quarantillo is a killer, because he is. He absolutely is. He's one of Shane Burgos' favorite fighters. But if Billy Q had more power than he does the first round, Shane would have been in deep trouble.
The reason why I say it is because I watched Shane and I watched the fight and I know how it goes. Shane's a roller. Like, by what I mean about a roller is that he rolls with the punches. So, right, when a person punches, you'll see his head go this way. He's going with it, so he's taking that power away. It'd be different if he just stood here and he just took the punch. Now, that's really taking the punch, but that's why you every time you see him, he always goes this way and he's right back, because he just rolls with it, takes away that power, and that way he can come back with his. Like, that's how I know. Like, that's why, like, to me, like, for the fan, the outside person, and maybe for a judge, it might look bad. Like you know, it looks like he's getting hit, but I just know that's how he is. He's not more like me. I'm more of a catcher, block. I might slip, you know, like that, but he'll roll with the punches where he'll just kind of let it go.
Thank you for the scouting report, Brandon.
Oh, no problem.
I'm keeping notes.
All right.
Now, I mean, I agree with you. I do see that with Shane, but at the same time, his face wears a different story, because he does get caught. He doesn't always roll it. And I think he trusts his skills a little bit more than his defense sometimes. And I think he gets caught quite a bit. And against some of these killers, you saw it, you know, it wasn't just Edson Barboza. You can go back even further when he lost that fight to Josh Emmett. It was the same thing. That war he kind of had with Calvin Kattar, same thing. I just think if Shane avoided getting in some of these firefights and kind of stepped out and used his skill a little bit better, I think he would be a champion by now. And I think that's that one small thing he needs to adjust before he's like running over the whole division. But he has to before it's too late, because that's just my outside opinion. I know you see him in the gym all the time. You see it a different way. So last fight we'll really talk about on this card, and then we'll run through the highlights and then get on to the next thing. Justin Gaethje, Michael Chandler, one of the fights of the year contenders. another fight where neither guy really. I think Gaethje won the fight because he actually did slip some punches and show some defense. I think Chandler had no defense. Most of the time, he was walking around with his hands down, yelling at somebody, nobody knows. I don't even think Michael Chandler knows what he was doing at that time. But he was just trying to walk Gaethje down, get into this firefight, and Gaethje won the fight with unanimous decision. I don't think anybody had a question that Gaethje won. We'll move on real quick, but you have any thoughts on that fight?
Yeah, man, it was a good fight. Like I said, I always knew that if Gaethje and Chandler fought, that Gaethje would win, and Gaethje proved me right.
Yeah, I mean, I think we knew this was the fight we were going to get. We knew they were going to go in, throw a shit ton of punches, try to kill each other, and it's pretty much what happened. I don't think it was a skill contest more for Gaethje than it was Chandler. Chandler just wanted to make it messy. Both guys rocked each other a lot of times, and Gaethje was the one that outlasted him. So exactly what we expected. Going down the card, your boy Alex Pereira got the knee in the second round. Michelatus did what he was supposed to do, right? He tried to make it messy. He tried to take him down. He kept it dirty the first round. Second round came out. I don't even know what to call the flying knee that he hit him with, because it wasn't just like a straight up flying knee. It was almost like a switch kick, but
Scissor
with knees.
Scissor
knee. There you go. I was thinking switch kick because I was like, it looked like a switch kick, but he did it with the knees, and he just caught him, knocked him out cold.
Yeah, he did that. He did that in his title fight against Jason Wilness in Glory. So I already seen that before when he did. I was just like, oh, all right, chasing Jason Wilness, and even Glory tweeted the video of that fight and was just like, yeah, we've seen this before.
Yeah, I mean, the dude's a monster striker. He definitely needs to work on his takedowns defense and maybe kind of shore up how to get up faster, working with Glover a lot. So we'll see. But I think Alex Pereira definitely has a future if he's with a lot of strikers and then gets matched up like that. Also on the card, Bobby Green took care of business against Iakenta. They look like they were on two totally different levels. Bobby did the normal, keep his hands down, fade back, jumped in, caught Al coming in, lights out. I'm sorry. I did pick Chris Curtis in my DraftKings, mainly because his price value was there. Phil Halls was controlling that round. He was controlling most of the first round. Curtis caught him with a short left, and then it was lights out. Phil Halls basically was out on his feet. I think Curtis hit him a couple more times, but you could just see the way he dropped to the mat. He was done. Just caught him, perfect shot by Curtis, and he won the fight. Imavov, I don't know what happened to Shabazian. He's no longer that undefeated fighter. We didn't know what we were getting. We know now. This is his third straight loss. That undefeated streak seemed to be a paper, so to speak. It wasn't real, because he's now lost three straight tough fighters he lost to. And Imavov made it look easy, taking him down, eventually getting him in the crucifix and raining down elbows. Ian Gary looked fantastic against Jordan Williams. Jordan Williams looked the faster, quicker fighter, but Gary still found a way to catch him, knock him out. The hype train has began with him. He's another one of those European fighters coming over trying to make a name for himself. I think Chris Barnett kind of stole the show, not just with his personality. It was Jean Violente's last fight. He knocked him out with this amazing wheel kick. For a guy that size to be doing something like that. And then, of course, the flip landed on his butt. And then the dance moves. How can you not love a personality like Chris Barnett, especially when he spends his whole post-fight interview basically propping up his opponent in Jean Vellante, who gave a lifetime to his sport. So congrats to him. Your boy Dustin Jacoby came in on short notice, took care of business, probably made it kind of look easy against John Allen. And then we had a couple really close fights in Baghdasaryan versus Souza, who actually took a fight on short notice as well. I didn't know going in the fight that Bruno Souza was one of Chad Savage George's fighters. We interviewed Chad Savage George on Art of MMA way back in the day, especially when he had his documentary and a bunch of other things going on. If you don't know, go look up the interview, look up his fighters documentary he had. Just a really, really well done look inside of what it's like to be a fighter and go through what he's going through with the injuries and everything else. And then Osborne got the win over Vergara. Any final thoughts on this card, Brandon?
It was a good card. It was a good night of fights.
Yeah, I thought it was epic. I thought it lived up to the hype. Glad they got it done in New York City. grand stage. Come on, UFC, get the mat better though. Get the mat better. We're gonna move on. Bellator 270. Queally versus Pitbull 2, the rematch. Of course, for the lightweight title that Patricia Pitbull had vacated. A little different outcome than the last time these guys fought. Queally won the last one by doctor stoppage. This time, Pitbull came in, got the job done. This is why Brandon was 5-0 this week. Did your room get darker?
No, I closed the blinds, but I'll get them open in a second. Yeah.
Okay. I was like, wait, did you turn the lights off? Are you taking a nap while I'm talking? It's just like the spotlight's on me and it dimmed on you. I didn't know what was going on with that. But Pitbull got his revenge, got the knockout in the second round. Tell the fans at home what you thought of that fight and why you went 5-0.
Well, I went 5-0 because I pick winners. But oh wow.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Tell your wife thank you.
But no, dude, it was. I mean, I'm still in shock on that walkout by Queally, but I mean that was just such a good crowd, good song, man. It was just flowing. But on to the fight though. Yeah, but on to the fight though. Hey man, I told you, I just had a feeling, man, Pitbull would have made the adjustments that he had to do, and which he did. I mean, you know, like I said, I think he had the faster hands, you know, of the two fighters. And like I said, I mean, they were both coming in, throwing them. But like I said, I just think that Pitbull was just faster, and that was his edge, and he caught him. He had Queally hurt, and he took care of business.
Yeah, I mean, I think that sums it up. I think Pitbull came in, he definitely had the more fire, he had the more aggressiveness, and then second round, he put him out. So congrats to Pitbull. The title stays in the family. As far as what's next, that 155-pound division is kind of up in the air. The whole reason why
Primus.
Yeah, it should be Primus getting another chance of getting the belt back. But there's not a lot of guys there. I mean, it's one of the reasons why we kept talking about AJ McKee and Patricio maybe doing it for that title. If AJ still wants to move up, maybe he can still do it and go against the other Pitbull brother. But it's either AJ moving up to 155 pounds and doing it, maybe Primus. But it's kind of murky to see who's next for that one. Or maybe they break the tie and run it back and have a trilogy with Queally. But the way that fight ended, I don't see that. So I don't know. Over in the co-main event, we both picked Patchy Mix to get the win over Gallagher. Gallagher was very game. It wasn't an easy fight, but he got caught in the guillotine in round 3. What you think of that fight?
Yeah, man. I mean, Gallagher was the one that was really shooting for the guillotines in like the first and second. I really want to say every round. I think he went for a guillotine, you know, but he just wasn't able to get it. And then once Patchy Mix got his, man, it was a wrap. You know, I mean, James Gallagher, you know, he looked good. Like I said, I know he was training at Glory MMA with James Krause. You know, like I said, he was looking kind of good, but like I said, I mean, I had a feeling. I thought that Patchy Mix would have finished the fight earlier. Like I said, I just thought Patchy Mix was just gonna run through him like the first or second round, but he waited to the third round. Still got the job done. To me, Patchy Mix should probably be next for a title shot.
Yeah, I think him and Sergio would be a great fight. Of course, Sergio already has an opponent. Who's he fighting in January?
Is he not fighting Hiraguchi?
Yeah, that's who he's fighting. Yeah, I couldn't remember the name off the top of my head. Sorry. Yeah, Patchy looked great. I thought it was 1-1 going into the third round. So he took it out of the judge's hands, took care of business, got the submission. Sorry, your boy Weishel got the loss. Pedro Carvalho came in, took care of business. Close fight, 29-28 across the board. Boulay got the win over Sasu, split decision, scoring all over the map for that one. One judge had it 30-27. I thought it was 28-27, 29-28, I'm sorry. But close fight. I told you guys look out for Ciaran Clark. He got the rear naked choke in the third round over Barton. I think that kid's going to be a star. I think he has a lot of potential. Scott Tizzy over Hoy, unanimous decision. Chadwick got the win. I cannot say Arunas' last name. I think it's Andrukivas Vikas. Am I close?
I have no idea.
Thank you. I appreciate you having my back on that
Yep.
one. Split decision win. Another one had scoring all over the map. Saracam over Milner via KO. That was actually really nice the way he set that knockout up. Soley versus Pallet. Split decision. Split decisions all over the map. This one, I kind of agree. I thought it was actually more. I thought it was one side. I didn't think it even should have been split decision. I thought Soley won. Danny Nealon versus Carucci via TKO. Finishing out the card, Nazarkadov versus Costello. Got the heel hook in the second round. Submission win. Any other highlights on that card for you, Brandon?
I mean, just shout outs to Ilias Blade, the first fight on the main card. Saying I've known him since his kickboxing days. He used to fight in Fusion. Then I think he did a couple of fights in K1. Saying he's another kickboxer that has converted to MMA, and so far it's going well for him since he's undefeated.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, very back and forth fight, weird split decision, but I thought he won the fight too. I don't agree with 30-27, but I thought he won the fight. I thought Sasu did enough in a couple of the rounds to maybe steal one. So I definitely thought at least one of the rounds was his, but back and forth fight. That is it for our recap this week. We're going to kind of move along because we've got some time constraints. My fault, not Brandon's. So real quick, I'll just say a couple headlines real quick for this week in the MMA. John Jones says he won't go back to Jackson Wink. No hard feelings, but he's moving forward. Dylan Danis was allegedly slapped by Ali Abdelaziz backstage at UFC 268. Danis obviously runs his mouth every chance he can. So maybe it was well overdue. Can't believe I'm rooting for Ali, but if that happened, I'm kind of like, yeah. Miranda Maverick will be stepping in for her former opponent, Macy Barber, against Erin Blanchfield at UFC 269. They haven't said why Barber pulled out, but she is out of that fight at the next pay-per-view, December 11th. And then right here, Tampa, Florida, they promoted it this week. Jake Paul will be fighting Tommy Fury on December 18th at Amalie Arena right here in Tampa. I might actually go to that fight. We'll see how ridiculously they price those tickets, but I might actually want to go to that fight. Or, hey, can you guys give fighters first press pass? Then I'll go. Anyway, that's December 18th in Tampa. We're going to skip the rant this week because we kind of talked about it a little bit, but I might even bring it back next week. What wins around in MMA these days? Like, is it the takedown? The takedown doesn't seem to have as much effect that it used to. They changed the rules a little bit. Is it the dominance over the certain amount of minutes? So we'll talk about that next week. What wins around in MMA? It's kind of confusing when you look at the Queally fight or even the Covington Usman fight. So it's something to talk about. But now we're going to get into our picks. Now we're going to get into why the lead dog is 5-0, why he's the man. It's sad that I'm literally almost 60% in my picks. You would win money if you went to Vegas with me as well. But this guy, the last couple months, has been on such a tear. Another 5-0 day for Brandon Gattino. So I'm not even going to hate. Go to Atlantic City, cash in your cards. Go with the mechanic and get paid because this dude is just rolling in picks. So whatever he says today, just go ahead and pick it. You'll win at least most of them. Jesus Christ. We're going to go ahead and start off with Bellator 271. Cyborg is back in action against Sinead Kavanagh. Brandon, go ahead and tell me who you got and why.
I'm going with Cyborg. I mean, I'm sure probably mostly everybody and their mom is as well. The reason being is just because I think she is the better overall martial artist. She has the striking. I know we haven't seen her jiu-jitsu, but I know she has it. She has wrestling.
Got one sub.
Huh?
She got the one sub.
Yeah. But like I said, I just think it's Cyborg all the way. I wouldn't be surprised if I see a finish in maybe the second or third round.
Yeah, I think it's another sacrificial lamb. I don't think they have anybody left. Julia Budd's over in PFL now. There's just, I mean, we know the one name is Kat Zingano. Maybe they can lure Kayla Harrison to Bellator with a little bit more money offer. I feel like she was in the crowd at UFC 268. I think it's just a done deal of her going to UFC at this point. But I think Kayla versus Cyborg is probably the fight that interests most people. See if Kayla can step up to that level of competition. but I don't think there's really anybody else, and they just keep feeding her at this point to keep her active. But I think Cyborg runs through Kavanagh. Over the co-main event, I actually am very excited about this. Sorrel Fortune, I mean, he had one little hiccup, but he's been a heavyweight on the rise for a while. Linton Vassell is super tough. Who you got in this one?
I'm going with Tyrell Fortune. Reason being is because of the wrestling. Linton Vassell, he actually likes to wrestle people as well. He likes to try to take people down, smother them. Hence why I think his nickname is called the Swarm, because that's what he does. He swarms his opponent, and that's what he does. I think he takes him down and he just swarms them. But I don't think he'll be able to do that against Tyrell Fortune, because Tyrell Fortune to me is the better wrestler. Also, too, Tyrell Fortune is an athletic person. Linton Vassell kind of does have trouble with athletic athletes. So I just think this is Tyrell Fortune match to win.
If you had me pick this fight 2 years ago, I would have picked Fortune. I would have picked him in a heartbeat because he was on a rise up until he had that knockout where he lost to Tim Johnson. He's bounced back really well since then, rolled through everybody, including recently Matt Mitrione. You can talk about the eye or whatever weird situation there was with that. But he basically rolled over Matt Mitrione. But Vassell's looked good the last couple of fights. He's bounced back against Karatanov. He knocked him out. He stopped Ronnie Marquez in the second round. And I think his experience might give Fortune trouble. You saw he struggled against Johnson, a more experienced fighter. Man, I have a hard time with this fight. I want to say Fortune, but I think I'm gonna go with Vassell. I think my pick is Vassell in this fight because I think he's just a different, unorthodox type fighter. I don't think Fortune's seen before, and I think it's going to be a great matchup. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Real quick, also on that card, we got Aaron Pico back in action against Justin Gonzalez. Gonzalez undefeated, so that's going to be an epic fight. Arlene Blenkow's back in action. I always love watching her fight. She's fighting Pam Sorensen. That's going to be a really fun fight. Steve Mowry undefeated going against Rakeem Cleveland. You got Falsey undefeated against Hughes is undefeated. Obviously, Bellator likes to showcase a lot of these young undefeated fighters. Jordan Newman versus O'Shea, trying to stay undefeated for Newman. Everybody's favorite, Valerie Lareda's back in action, and she actually took this fight on short notice, stepping up against Taylor Turner. I know she had an injury in her last fight, so we'll be interested to see how she bounces back. I'm surprised he's not higher on the card, but up-and-coming Cody Law's been making a lot of headlines for them against Ham. And then Feraldo undefeated going against Turnquest. And then Bruna Ellen versus Desiree Yanez, 2 5-3 female fighters throwing down at the Seminole Hard Rock in Hollywood, Florida for Bellator 271 on November 12th, Friday night. Should be a fun night. Any other fights kind of stand out to you that you think people need to watch?
Nah, I mean, you kind of really already mentioned them. Like, I really want to say I have my eye on that Pico Gonzalez fight. Like I said, man, Justin Gonzalez saying he was on Dana White's Contender Series. And then also, too, I think he beat his first fight in Bellator, he had beat another high prospect. I think it's Claxton. I think he beat.
Yeah, Taiwan Claxton.
Yeah. So which I believe that was a shocker as well. So I mean, man, Pico better be on his P's and Q's.
We know Pico has a chance to be great, but he also gets caught and gets knocked out sometimes. So, and I'll tell you one other fight. That Steve Mowry Rakeem Cleveland fight. Mowry's undefeated. He's looked good. Rakeem Cleveland's always tough. So if he doesn't bring his game, Rakeem could have won on that record real quick. But that's Bellator 271. Let's turn our attention before we get out of here. UFC back in action this week. I can't believe this is a fight night main event. This is a pay-per-view quality main event. UFC Vegas 42. We finally got Max and Yair going at it. The fight got pushed back because of injuries and some other stuff. Finally got Holloway versus Rodriguez. Who you got in this one and why?
I'm going with Max Holloway, man. I'm going with Blessed, Again, let's see. Yair's on a 2-year layoff. Max last fought in January, so he is still the more active. And plus, too, man, to me, man, Max is the best I mean, he says he's the best boxer in the in the UFC. Also, too, like usually most people have him as the best featherweight unless you're talking to Volkanovski. Like I said, I'm gonna always go with Max until I see somebody beat him. And right now, I just don't think that's a Yair.
Yeah, I think Max got screwed in that second fight with Volkanovski. I think he won that fight. I think most fans think he won that fight. So trilogy is definitely still on the table, but he's got to get through a very tough Yair Rodriguez. My co-host on Crossing Borders, Alex Soto, actually thinks Rodriguez is going to win this fight. We kind of got into it a few episodes ago about that, and I'm like, we'll talk about when it gets closer. I think Max runs through Rodriguez, but I'm not sleeping on Rodriguez either. I know he has a knockout puncher's chance. He's very long, just like Max is. It's very rare Max fights somebody the same size as him, as far as like height, reach, and length. So that should be entertaining in itself because Max usually is the taller guy. In this case, they're exact same size, very similar in reach. So it's going to be an interesting fight. I think it's going to be a little bit more contentious than some people think. But I think at the end of the day, I think Holloway probably gets a unanimous decision and wins every round. That's my pick in that one. Co-main event, we got Big Ben Rothwell going against Rogerio de Lima. Who you got?
I got Ben Rothwell. I think his jiu-jitsu will be too much for him. He does have takedowns, so he can take him down, then hold him there, and then he can work his jiu-jitsu or he can work his ground and pound. But I think his top control basically is really what I'm saying. His top control, because you can have submissions or you can have the ground and pound. I think that's going to be too much, and he'll get his hand raised.
Whoever thought you would be talking about Ben Rothwell having the submission game over somebody? I mean, he's known to come in kind of bang it out. But funny enough, even though Rogerio de Lima is Brazilian, he is an American top team fighter, and most of his losses are via submission. So I think you might be right. I can see an arm triangle choke. I can see a rear naked choke. I think Rothwell will probably get him to the mat and somehow find a way to a submission victory. I actually agree with you on that one. Maybe I'm just riding your coattails at this point because I want to go 5-0. I mean, it's just saying.
Well, you can't because you picked you picked Vassell over Fortune.
Yeah, so. I went with Vassell. So one of us is going to fall this week. Maybe it's going to be you, Brandon.
Okay,
he doesn't sound very confident in that. All right, Brandon, what's your fight pick of the night?
Again, man, I gotta represent the team Tiger Showman. I gotta go with my boy Julio Arce versus San Yadong. Of course, I got Arce taking this. Man, dude, it's like there are lefties, and then there's Julio Arce, who is a lefty, and just man, the dude just has good movement. Dude can flow. He's got it all. He can box. He can kickbox. He can grapple you. He can wrestle you. I think he's just going to be too much for his opponent. I mean, hey man, we could maybe see a finish in the second or third round.
Yeah, I think Julio's going to win this one. I think Song is the perfect opponent for him that will stand right in front of him. Won't make him have to find him. The only question is, will Arce bleed or not? And I think he probably will.
Hey man, he's a bleeder like Frankie Edgar. They both bleed.
My fight pick on this card, I went back and forth with a lot of different fights. It's just a really good card, but at the end of the day, I think because I had to switch up also because my fight got canceled too. Originally, I was going to go with the Dawkins fight, but that is off this card again. But I think I'm going to go my original pick, Miguel Baez versus Chaos Williams. I think it's going to be a back and forth battle. I think Baez is showing that he can deal with tough battles. Chaos has the penchant for the flashy knockout, but he can also pound you out for 3 rounds. I think it's going to be a back and forth war. I think Baez is going to get the win. I think he's more technical than Chaos, but I think it's going to be a fun fight. It might even be fight of the night. What do you think about that one?
I could definitely see that being a fight of the night. Hey man, like saying your assessment of the fight isn't wrong. Like say, man, dude, Chaos Williams, he does go for the knockout regardless. But yeah, like I said, I think his opponent is maybe a little more technical, but we gotta see what happens.
I was really looking forward to that Dawkins fight too. That Dawkins Dolan's fight. So it sucks that got canceled. I didn't even hear why, to be honest with you. Do you know why it got taken off?
No, I don't. I mean, I did hear about it being pulled, but I don't remember why. I don't know why.
Yeah. Also on the card, real quick, we got Thiago Moises back in action against Alvarez. Cynthia Calvillo versus KGB Lee. That's going to be a fun fight. Sean Woodson versus England. Courtney Casey versus Juja. Diakis versus Alves. Kennedy, I always say his name right until I have to say his name right. Nchukwu, I think is how you say it. And Jung versus Jung. So I love watching Kennedy and Nchukwu fight. I think he's always fun. And that's going to kick off the night in the prelim. So that's going to be great. Any other fights stand out to you?
I'm looking forward to the Courtney Casey fight, which I know you mentioned. It's kind of weird because let's say Courtney Casey to me has a lot of talent, but sometimes, man, I just feel like she just, it just doesn't go her way. Like she either meets somebody who's just really tough, or maybe the scorecards, they just the judges don't pick her. But the person she's fighting, I know there's been a lot of hype on her. Of course, she is nice on the eyes, as the fellas like to say. But we shall see what goes down in that fight.
I don't know much about Liana. I do know Courtney Casey's been around for a while, 9-9. Like you said, she's been on the bad end of a couple tough things. She kind of came up in the wrong era. If she had fought like 10 years ago, I think she would have had a better record, been a better fighter. But she's been a victim to like every up and coming fighter on her record. So, and then I think another ladies fight that could be Andrea KGB Lee. I think is going to be a back and forth battle as well.
Yep.
So ladies can definitely bring it on this card. That is UFC Vegas 42. That is our picks. See if I'm finally coming up and trying to catch up to the big dog. I'm not even going to call him the leader at this point. Just like, man.
Yeah.
So that is that. Real quick before we get out of here, you see Brandon rocking the Kevin Randleman. That one is not available in the store. Unfortunately, I have an agreement with his wife not to put it out there. I respect her wishes. But we did put some other legendary shirts back in there that we can sell. So check that out. The Bruce Lee, Gracie, the Bruiser Brody, and the Bam Bam shirts are on there for a limited time. Go check them out. If you wanted them before and couldn't get them, they are on fightersfirst.shop. Check those out. Of course, Reppin' Art of MMA all day, every day. Go get the gear. And then December 11th, Brandon Coutinho's back to doing what he does best. Obviously, it's not this show. What he does best is kickboxing. He needs to go back to his day job eventually. But don't worry, he'll stay on this show as well. Don't know if we'll have him fight week, but we'll have him pretty much every other week. We'll figure that out when the schedule gets closer. And speaking of schedules, I do want to let everybody at home know we are taking off Thanksgiving week. I think Brandon and I may have talked about it, or this may be news to him as well. But we usually take off the holiday weeks. I'll be traveling. I'm going back to DC for the week. So no show on that Wednesday. We'll get back in action and get caught up the week after that. But other than that, I think that's pretty much a wrap. Anything else, Brandon?
Guys, just remember, like, subscribe, comment, baby, interact with us. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know what you like and what you don't like. Like Mike's picks, nobody likes those.
I can't even say nothing. But what I can say, November 20th, real quick, by the way, UWA, if you want to get rid of a 100-pound nothing, a 5-foot nothing Miles Thomas, like, who is this guy? You seem to keep putting Brandon Coutinho up against these bums. Like, just bum after bum. The last bum didn't even show up. You had to sub another bum. We haven't, like Brandon said in his promo, you haven't heard from any of these guys after he runs through them. Miles Thomas must be looking for a retirement fight. That's the only reason I can think he calls out Brandon Coutinho. If you need somebody more suitable, if you need somebody to step up to the plate and you're willing to pay my airfare, hey, give me a call. I have an RKO in the can just for Brandon Coutinho. That said, for the mechanic, Brandon Coutinho, check him out November 20th on UWA Elite Last Breath. Also stepping back to his day job, December 11th, USKA, Allentown, Pennsylvania. Looking forward to both those events. I will be watching both, especially the wrestling, a little bit more intently. I might fly myself up. Nah, it's too close to Thanksgiving. You're lucky. If it was a better time to fight, you might have to watch your back. Anyway, that's enough humor for the show. This is Art of MMA. I'll let Brandon get out of here. I'm Mike In. That's the mechanic, Brandon Catino. Until next week, we're out.